Gluttony is a sin that many people struggle with, and it's one of the only ones that shows on your body, and you have to carry your sin on your body every time you walk around. There are a lot of things that you can do to remove some of the excess weight, but sometimes losing weight is not synonymous with a healthy diet or with a healthy lifestyle. While many of these diets might be tempting, it's important that you do not follow these diets and instead stick to a more balanced diet that yields better results and better health through the long term. The ketogenic diet is a diet where you put yourself in a state of ketosis. And so what is ketosis? Ketosis is when your body, instead of using carbohydrates for fuel, it uses something called ketones. And these ketones can be used by most cells in your body, cells that have mitochondria, but cells that do not have mitochondria cannot use ketones to burn energy. And these two are your liver and your red blood cells. And so if you don't have any glucose, you have to make it somehow. And so the process of making glucose from your body comes through your muscle cells. And so you break down your muscle cells into two different types of amino acids, into ketogenic amino acids, which turns into fat, and glycogenic amino acids, which turns into carbohydrates. And so only the glycogenic amino acids can then go into gluconeogenesis to turn into carbohydrates, so your red blood cells and your liver can get energy from your body. So you're using your muscle mass that you already had saved up, and you're turning your muscle into sugar so your red blood cells can function and your liver can function. So some typical components of the ketogenic diet include really, really low carbohydrates and really, really high fats. Now, a lot of times people think they're doing a ketogenic diet. They're eating a whole bunch of red meats, chicken, fish, turkey, and they're just not in the state of ketosis. They go to the bathroom and they have to pee on these little strips to tell them if they're in a state of ketosis or not. But they actually are not in ketosis once they actually pee it out, because they're eating too much protein, because some of the protein that they're eating is turning into carbohydrates. So because of this excess protein consumption, the protein that's being eaten is then being turned into sugar, and the rest of it is being excreted in the urine. And so this is really toxic to your kidneys, because it has to become uric acid in order for you to pee out some of those proteins. And this can be really damaging to your kidneys. It can be really damaging to your liver, and it can be really damaging because your cholesterol goes way through the roof. A lot of times people don't understand this, but the first 2 to 3 steps of creating ketones are the first steps, the exact same steps of creating cholesterol. And cholesterol is one of the causational factors of things like cardiovascular diseases, strokes, dementia, things like that. The ketogenic diet is when 80% of your calories come from fat, usually about that range. 15% to 19% come from protein, and the rest, so 1 to 5%, come from carbohydrates. Some people like to go all the way down to less than 5 grams of carbohydrates a day. Some people like to go to less than 50. Your brain's main fuel source is glucose. And so in order to properly maintain proper brain function, you have to have at least 130 grams of carbohydrates every single day. And that's not including how much your liver needs, how much your red blood cells needs. That's just for your brain. And so the ketogenic diet, it works against your body's natural cycle of physiology. And so whenever you work against your natural cycle of physiology, you're going to get a whole bunch of different health problems. You're going to be really fatigued. Your cholesterol may go up. You're going to sleep all the time, but your sleep isn't going to be that great. You're not going to be able to exercise as you might be able to if you were to be eating a lot more carbohydrates. Because the keto diet excludes so many carbohydrates and includes so many fats, it goes against how we were made by God. Before the flood, there was no slaughter. And we know in Genesis, it says, "By the sweat of your brow you shall eat bread." We are instructed to eat bread, to eat carbohydrates in order to properly fuel our body. God wouldn't tell us this if it was something that was bad and something that would kill us. He would say, oh, he's all good and he wants us to be good. And so he tells us to eat bread because bread is it's good for us. Now we will eat bread. It's a partially penitential thing, but also it's good for us. The bread that we eat is good for us. And the bread contains carbohydrates, and carbohydrates are the main source of fuel that we all got before the flood. Similarly, if we go back throughout history and we try to find which saints followed this ketogenic diet, we can't find a single one. Not a single saint followed a ketogenic diet. Why? Well, one, because the ketogenic diet isn't edifying. It's not like it hasn't been around for a long time. We've seen remnants of it in the past, going all the way back a few thousand years. But we don't see a single saint who's ever been on the ketogenic diet. It's not useful for penance. We know that penance requires usually giving up some sort of meats or abstinence from meats. That is a general penance rule. And second, meats are usually considered feasting items. So you go to a barbecue, you have a feast. You go to dinner, Easter dinner, you usually have a ham there. Thanksgiving, you have your turkey, right? And so they're feast options rather than fasting or penitential options. And having these as your main diet to help you lose weight or to think that they're somehow good for fasting is just totally nonsensical. You should not follow the keto diet whatsoever. Just because you may see a lot of people in the media lose weight on the ketogenic diet doesn't mean it's healthy. You know, the fastest way to lose weight is to cut off one of your legs, right? You can lose fat in a lot of different ways. You can start smoking, you can do cocaine, you can get hit by a bus and be hospitalized for a few weeks. You can remove your stomach. You'll lose a whole bunch of weight if you do these things, but that doesn't mean they're healthy. So just because you lose weight does not mean you're healthy. You could develop a lot of different deficiencies in doing so. A lot of people on the ketogenic diet like to say, oh, I just started it and I have so much more energy than I did previously. And this can be because of a few reasons. Number one, placebo effect is a huge deal, right? So if you're on the ketogenic diet, you just read a whole bunch of quacks on the internet say how great of a diet it is, and then you start that diet, it's a total placebo effect. You're going to feel better because a lot of times the mental health effects of changing your diet and thinking you're going to do better is going to cause you to think you're doing better. When in reality, fast forward a few months, it's going to catch up and bite you. It's going to catch up to you, and you're going to have to end up being fueled on things like coffee, caffeine, chocolates in order to stay, at least somewhat awake during the day. Some of you will say, oh, I still feel more energy. That could be because you've lost some weight, but that doesn't mean it's a healthy weight loss. If you did lose weight properly, you'd have twice as much energy than if you did the ketogenic diet and ended up losing some weight that way. So in conclusion, don't do keto. Let me know what you think in the comments section down below, and I'll see you next time for more diet debunking. Be sure to like and subscribe for more.